Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. Are you unhappy with your child's school? It's National School Choice Week, and our next guest wants you to know that you do have options when it comes to your child's education. Here with more, we welcome School Administrator Beven Byrnes. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This is all about supporting our kids, our students as best we can, because they're all so different and they have different needs, right?
It's so true. That's exactly why I'm so happy to talk about this. But yeah, that's really about meeting each of our kids where they're at, and an experience through education is different for every one of our kids. And so as parents, I think it's important for us to understand what options are out there so that we're making educated decisions.
And fortunately, there are so many more options now, even just within the public school system, right?
Absolutely. I'm a public educated being myself, as are my 4 kids, and there's a lot of option. In addition to neighborhood district schools, there's also magnet schools that are catered to specific special interests, or charter schools that might be a smaller setting or have smaller class sizes. So there is a lot of opportunity within the school district setting.
What are some needs that parents are looking to be met for their students if they are thinking about making a change in their school setting?
I think the number one thing I'm hearing is belonging. We know that when students feel a sense of belonging, then trust builds, and that's when we can really get to the academics. Another thing is parents are understanding more and more about the other needs of their children besides academics, so mental health, social emotional well-being. And I think those are all things that certainly myself as a parent are really looking into when I'm thinking about where my student and child's going to be spending so much of their day.
It's true, they are there for so many hours. My kids go to our big neighborhood public school, and so far so good, but I can totally see how that wouldn't be the best environment for every kid and every family, right?
Absolutely. Not every kid thrives in a traditional setting. I didn't. I was fortunate to go to an alternative public school here in Portland. And I think having the options can really give some peace to families. When students are able to go to a school, they feel more of a sense of belonging and engagement with the content. We see attendance increase, we see trust in adults increase, and ultimately see academic outcomes increase.
That's huge. Tell me about some of the other options if you do want to explore a little bit further beyond the bounds of what the public system has to offer.
Absolutely. There's also private school options outside of the public. Some of those might be intended for specialized audiences. There's also language immersion and IB schools that are options. Also online or hybrid settings for students who don't do so well face-to-face in schools and social settings, for kids who've struggled through the pandemic and are still struggling with some of that social emotional attachment piece, but also even a hybrid model or playgroup therapy type where you're really outdoors more than you are in. So there's really a myriad of options, and it really depends on what that unique individual student needs.
What are some conversations to have with your child, with your student, to kind of determine if they do need something different moving forward?
I think it's really important to start with your kid. Find out and ask questions. Where do they feel safest? Where do they feel most comfortable? And I think it's important, if you can, to go to the school and actually see what's happening. Ask the administrators about doing some observation time, just being a fly on the wall and watching how the adults are interacting with the students and how the students are responding to them. But also look at things like culture, like teacher education requirements, like administrative or leadership tenure. All of these things matter to the overall successful culture of an educational setting.
Sure, and it can feel quite overwhelming. It is a big decision, but it doesn't have to be a forever choice, right? You can kind of feel something out and see maybe you give it a year and it's not really for you at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that's important for parents to keep in mind as they're looking at making a different decision, is that as your student changes and grows over time, you absolutely have the option to look at new options at every point, at every grade, or even mid-year. You are not stuck with where you are. If it's not working, it's time to start asking questions and look elsewhere.
What advice do you have for parents just beginning this process? Maybe they're aware that their child needs something different, but they're not sure where to start looking.
Google. The other second best, people you know. Ask other
Totally.
family members. Do you have friends that have gone to other schools, or neighbors that aren't attending your local neighborhood school? Ask them about why they're at another school and what brought them there, and start learning what the other options are, and really doing some research online into just Portland public or Portland education settings. You'll be able to see, and then if you have specific needs, do some Google search words with those specific needs as well to see if you can target down the sort of array of schools that are brought before you into more of what you're looking for.
Yeah, you mentioned like a hybrid model earlier. There are so many different ways to get these needs met. And some kids, yeah, maybe they're online for part of the day, but they still have access to like extracurricular and social learning opportunities, that they're not missing that piece completely.
Absolutely. I think that's important when you have students, especially if you're going to another neighborhood, right? Sometimes you're driving to the other side of the town to get the type of specialized programming that you're looking for. So I think it's really important to look for opportunities where you can have those extracurricular connections. Sometimes that's even in neighborhood sports clubs or other, karate or extracurricular activities that are within your neighborhood. And that can help maintain that connection to same age peers within the neighborhood, which as a parent, it's really nice if your friends live close and you don't have to drive all over town
There you
for
go.
every play day.
That's a great way to kind of manage some of those logistics too. Well, and what about different resources like therapy dogs? Is that something at the school that you work with as well?
We actually have one of our paraeducators who used to be a student of ours. She has a service dog that's at our school every day, and that's been a really wonderful thing for our students. The calmness that brings with it translates immediately to the kids.
Yeah.
And that's been a real gift for us. And there's definitely settings who have other types of service animals, or even some that are outdoors and actually animal and farm-based play, which can be really awesome too.
You never know until you ask and dig a little bit deeper. Thank you so much for stopping by and sharing with us.
Thank you so much.
So great to chat with you. Of course, we will have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.